Take Care of My Cat, directed by Chung Jae-eun, is a female coming-of-age story that enhances the reality faced by young females in South Korea through the display of their youthfulness, and as Michelle Cho iterates in her writing, the desire for transnational mobility through their refusal to submit to traditional gender norms. The opening sequence of this film not only effectively foreshadows the story and sets the theme, it also acts as the perfect gateway to guide the audience into an imagined world in which they can see themselves in. We can first see the centering of Tae-hee, then a perfect even split between Ji-young and Hae-ju. We see that Tae-hee is the one to jump in between the girls and turn their serious conversation into laughter. Right from this point, this establishes the key characters that the audience should keep a lookout for throughout the film. While the girls are marching in this little sequence, Tae-hee is leading the march, also initiating the picture. This right away establishes her character as the bridge between the girls and the leader to hold the friendship together. We can see the type of relationship between Ji-young and Hae-ju based on the framing of these two girls. They are not seen separated from each other in any of the frames within the flashback scene. This provides insight on the closeness of these girls and allows the audience to later observe the impact on each of the girls as this friendship begins to deteriorate as they step into adulthood. Next, we're going to observe the impact of songs and sound effects on the beginning sequence. In the song that the girls are enthusiastically marching to, the lyrics show a notion of marching forward and heading towards a brighter future. However, as the dreamlike flashback scene fades away, we hear the striking sound of glass breaking as we snap back into the present, accompanied by the yelling of Hae-ju's dad, which provides insight to Hae-ju's family background and the assertion of male dominance in the household. Then we hear a familiar melody that is repeated throughout the film. The song's lyrics focuses on the notion of being lost and the inability to find oneself. We can see in this later scene that the song is repeated again not only in the background of Hae-ju, but in the background of all the girls, to show that they are all lost and all need to find closure. Cho states in her thesis how the film visualizes the ways in which physical environments delimit characters' interpersonal and socio-political possibilities. The showing of industrialized spaces and trains of Incheon establishes setting right from the beginning, and the flash of the subway map that we are exposed to indicates Incheon as the beginning point since it is the first station of Line 1. This marks Incheon as the beginning of the girls' life journey and as a place of mobility. Thus, it is the irony here that in such a location the girls are still unable to achieve transnational mobility by the end of the film. We can also take a more careful look at the angles at which Hae-ju was filmed in this beginning set of sequences. There are quite a lot of shots from Hae-ju that were taken from behind, as the audience sees her back as she exits Incheon. This foreshadows her notion of wanting to leave Incheon behind and head towards Seoul. We can also see right here that Hae-ju is the only person standing in the subway as she approaches Seoul and looks out the window. This shows how she is dreaming of what could be and also focuses the audience's attention to Hae-ju's actions. This again shows Hae-ju's longing for Seoul. If we observe this scene more closely, we can observe that the majority of the workers heading to Seoul behind Hae-ju are males, which again reinforces the gender norms that men are the ones who work and achieve success by heading to the ever so glamorous city that is Seoul. The final key points to keep in mind when we're observing the beginning sequence is how the title is introduced and the use of textiles and captions. In this very brief bit of English that we are exposed to, the words that we are exposed to are you sure, words of doubt, and worry. This is a direct reflection of the notion of uncertainty that carries throughout this entire film. The use of text bubbles not only emphasizes youthfulness and modernism, it shows a shift in the method of communication between the girls. As they more frequently text over speaking in person, this hints at the idea of possible miscommunication or the lack of communication that increases the distance between the girls. It is definitely worth observing how beautiful the lopsided font contrasts with the precise pattern of the gridded squares. This shows the combination between the desire for structure and freedom. We know that Ji-young longs for structure, in which her love for structured textile art coincides with the similar rigid pattern of the gridded squares, and we can see that the imbalance of the lettering reflects Taehee's free-spirited mind and the need for her freedom. In this way, the introduction of the title reflects each individual protagonist and their different characteristics. As Haeju opens the blinds, the frame is zoomed out as the gridded squares form into continents, which symbolizes how each girl is transitioning into adulthood, beginning to face the world and its uncertainties, and thus accurately establishes the theme of the movie. By efficiently establishing the setting as a reflection of the protagonist's limits, displaying realistic societal problems through an imagined community, and effectively introducing all of this in the opening sequence of the film, this national cinema is forming parallels between the characters and stories from the film with the personal lives of the audience themselves.